Hello, I'm Grindhouse. Welcome to SciFi MineCart. Some kids' movies can feel like they're nothing more than soulless cash grabs, while others are excellent films created by one of your favorite directors and bizarrely set within the same universe as an extremely violent, mature-rated franchise. Fortunately, today's film is part of the latter. Cue title card. Spy Kids is a 2001 science fiction spy comedy about some spies that are kids. And I know what you're thinking, but grim! Wikipedia claims that it's an adventure spy comedy. How are you going about claiming that it's a science fiction film? Well, to you, I have a very simple answer. And that is that the film includes futuristic spy technology, jetpacks, robots, mutants, and a Star Trek-style holodeck. That is a list of more science fiction elements than most 1950s B-grade science fiction films have, and so, therefore, I'm going to call it a science fiction movie and Wikipedia can go and sulk. I wanted to revisit this film for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I have rather fond memories of it and was rather surprised to see that it has such a low rating on IMDb. Since the film came out before the internet held such a dominating presence across all of our lives and every single moment of them, I, at the time of its release, had no idea of a global consensus on the film, and just knew that I personally enjoyed it and everyone else that I talked to did, and so seeing that it held a 5.4 was rather surprising to me. And secondly, because since my Spy Kids years, I've developed a new love for Robert Rodriguez thanks to his more adult movies such as Sin City, Planet Terror, and his Machete series. So, sitting down last night to give Spy Kids another watch for the first time in what is quite possibly 14 years, I did my best to do so without any rose-tinted goggles. Although, fair warning, I really enjoyed the first three Spy Kids when I was younger, and so my success at detaching nostalgia was probably hit and miss. In fact, I admit that as early as the very opening scene of the movie, with the long zoom across the water and the Spanish guitars, I was already pretty much into it. And if not in that scene, then certainly in the flashback story that follows, you can immediately tell that this is a Robert Rodriguez movie. It has many of the Grindhouse elements that I absolutely love from Machete and Planet Terror, larger-than-life characters and absolutely fantastic musical cues. The film manages to, while at no point taking itself seriously, still remain 100% sincere, and even has the same kind of, albeit PG version of, clever writing that I love from his later films. In fact, it seems that the reason I enjoyed Spy Kids so much back in the day is the exact same reason that I enjoy Machete so much today. They are fun, not too serious, but most importantly, extremely entertaining movies. So, what exactly is the storyline of Spy Kids? Well, contrary to the title, it's not actually about Spy Kids, and the children in the film don't in fact really do any spying whatsoever. Instead, the term is referring to the plan of the genius scientist villain Floop, who is also the host of the second highest rated children's show, to replace the children of high-ranking members of society with robots, thereby, no doubt, having a way to exploit these powerful people and therefore overthrow the world or something. However, there is one thing these robotic rugrats are lacking, and that is a brain. And with the gentleman who hopes to buy this army from Floop hammering on about deadlines, there's very little time left to complete construction of these tiny tin tots. And so, with no real time to work out the construction of the brain himself, Floop instead turns to look for a different solution, and where better to look than the organization of super spies who had already previously constructed, and then rather rapidly destructed, a working brain perfect for their cause. After several OSS spies go missing and subsequently become mutants on Floop's TV show, our protagonist's parents, also former spies, are sent out to try to find out what's going on and are too also immediately captured. As it turns out, Puss in Boots, also known as Zorro, also known as Antonio Banderas, was part of the team that was researching the brain, and so, therefore, Floop also sends out a team to search the house and capture the kids as means of leverage. And so the two main characters, Carmen and Junie Cortez, are thrown into the adventure as they try to keep the brain, which it turns out their father didn't destroy, away from Floop, while also trying to rescue their parents. Said adventure brings them up against evil spies, robotic thumb creatures, and the Chrome Child copies of themselves, all the while as they learn valuable lessons about self-confidence and the importance of family, and how cool it is to be a spy, or whatever. Which, during this period, brings me to one of my favourite and most bizarre elements of the Spy Kids films. They, while trying to rescue their parents, track down and visit an inventor who they know is the best man at their parents' wedding and, as it turns out, is their uncle. This character is played by Danny Trejo, and his name is Machete Cortez. Now, if that sounds somewhat familiar, and it should because I've mentioned it several times during this review, that name is the title character of another Robert Rodriguez franchise, who is also played by Danny Trejo. The PG Kids franchise Spy Kids is in the exact same universe as the MA adult Grindhouse series Machete, and I just find that wonderfully strange and absolutely hilarious. But I digress. As Machete is not willing to help Carmen and Judy, they steal a bunch of his spy stuff, including his spy plane, crash it into Floop's castle, and then begins the weird and wonderful dreamscape sequences that are the raid on Floop's fortress. As it turns out, Floop is mostly an unwilling participant in this plan to take over the world, and instead the mastermind behind it is his minion, Mr. Minion, who is played by Mr. Monk, and so they team up, rescue their parents, foil the plans to build a mechanical mob of miners, and all is well in the world. It's neither really the most or least inspired storyline ever, however it gets the job done. The acting throughout the film is rather fantastic, Antonio Banderas and Carla Gugino are obviously excellent, and I really loved Alan Cummings' portrayal of the Willy Wonka / Mad Hatter character that is Floop. When I was returning to this film, I was a little bit worried that the two main characters' acting wouldn't hold up because, after all, they're children, and so therefore are without the benefit of experience. However, rather fortunately, their performance falls more in line with School of Rock rather than that of Space Raiders. The action is enjoyable, cartoony and over the top, the props, especially all of the cool spy gadgets, are absolutely wonderful, and the dialogue is humorous and rather charming. And what is possibly my favourite thing about the entire film is Floop's hellish castle of cartoon surrealism. It falls somewhere between a dream, a nightmare and an acid trip, and often has elements of all three. It's gothic, it's creepy, it's absurd, it's colourful, and I absolutely love it. And so is Spy Kids. It held up far better than I expected, and if you haven't seen it and are a Robert Rodriguez fan, it's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, I have been Instiller, Grim Grindle.
They weren't very smart. Yours could even speak.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Great story, Mom, but it needs a new ending. It needs monsters.